Welcome back, everybody. Artificial intelligence, or AI, you hear it all the time now, is a very hot topic and it is not going away. AI is a machine's ability to perform the cognitive functions we associate with human minds, such as perceiving, reasoning, learning, interacting. So what are its implications in the media, in the job market, and in education? Leaders at Augusta University are addressing that right now. Two people in particular have helped mold how it should be used in education, at least at Augusta University. Candis and James Garner have conducted instruction for faculty, and they're here with me now to share pertinent information to keep us aware of what's happening with this emerging field. Candis is the director of the Center for Writing Excellence, and James, straight from the Rockford Files, is the associate director. James, do you get that all the time, or are you too young for
Maverick,
James Garner?
Okay, yeah. The Notebook. All of them. Sure.
Oh, the Notebook.
Yeah. I know, right?
Of course.
Hearts,
I mean, what a name. That is a name that gets you in places. Hello, this is James Garner.
For sure.
Well, I'm so glad that it got you in here, for sure. I think that AI is something that a lot of us have questions about. You know, you can't help but think about like Terminator movies and, oh my gosh, are the robots taking over? How do you start from the beginning about AI? And where you see its usefulness?
Well, I'll start. Well, for those of you who don't know or maybe haven't been following the development of artificial intelligence technology, generative AI software, it works as a large language model, which means that basically big data sets of pre-existing information are entered into programs like ChatGPT. And then the software works by making predictions about how people talk or what will come next based on analysis of those data sets. So it sounds really human-like.
Is that scary to you?
Well, I'll start off.
Sure.
We may feel differently, but for me, it's not scary if it's used responsibly and ethically. And I know, at Augusta University and in the Center for Writing Excellence where we work, we've been focusing a lot on ethics. Like not necessarily that AI is good or bad in and of itself, but there are good and bad uses of it and times when it's better to use it versus others.
Okay.
So for us in higher education, we want people to learn. That's why the students go to college. So we've been thinking of it more from the lens of, will this facilitate learning if we introduce it at a certain point, or will it inhibit learning? It's kind of like a calculator. If you give students a calculator at a certain stage, it might actually keep them from learning things they need to know. But once they've mastered those skills, then calculators can be really helpful and can help them do new things that they couldn't do without it. So I think AI is similar in that we want students to learn skills that they need for their careers and for learning before we maybe introduce technology that will speed that up. But if they have learned certain things, then I think there's potential to streamline other, skills or things that they're doing through AI technology.
James, give me an example of what you see as a useful, for a student. What's a useful way to, or a teacher maybe, to incorporate AI?
Well, for students on the one hand, it can be kind of like doing a Google search. It's like a super powered Google search. It can be. So you can get a quick overview and a pretty robust overview of a topic. You have to be careful because sometimes the information that it gives you may not be 100% accurate, may be biased in some ways, depending on the data set that it was trained on. But it can be really useful for getting like the lay of the land on, a topic, at least a topic that happened up through, 2021 or whenever its data set was, because something like ChatGPT, for instance, the data set only goes up to 2021. It's not,
but I mean, like if a kid had like a research paper to do, could they just have the ChatGPT do it?
They could, but that's where it starts to, this is where some of those ethical questions about education start to, come up. They can do that. There are a few problems they'll probably run into. The writing voice of these artificial intelligences is pretty stilted. It can be tough sometimes to tell the writing of a human versus ChatGPT apart, but there is this kind of AI voice in the way it makes claims and puts information together that's pretty distinctive. And so it's not a foolproof way to plagiarize. There are, we see people, when students have tried it in that way, which is kind of the big fear in education, it's pretty noticeable. It can be noticeable, yeah.
Okay.
And then, the other thing with students, to think about is that, I think the thing that teachers have to think about when talking about it with students is encouraging students not to sacrifice, aspects of their education. Don't farm out critical thinking to ChatGPT and farm out all of their
Right, because
their
critical
thinking.
thinking is such an important part of your college education.
Yeah, the human
you're learning
experience.
to think critically.
Yeah,
right.
for sure. Yeah, and when you just let ChatGPT, fill out all of the ideas, you're sacrificing learning. You're letting it, you're letting it do kind of all of those tasks that should be teaching you things that you would get out of your educational experience.
I was just going to say, I think that one of the potential good uses of AI is for brainstorming. So, for example, if you were wanting to draw something or create your own artistic project, and you ask it to do those things, I think I'm speaking for both of us.
Yeah.
We think that it could be a great tool just to give you ideas, kind of see what's out there
Great.
for writing or for art.
For writing, for art, for a meeting, when you
For
just
sure,
need blue
yeah.
sky, you just need ideas.
But then the important part is that you, as the human originator, still need to do something with those ideas,
Yeah,
to
you
think about it
discern.
yourself, make it your own, do new things with it. Because humans, we're always taking in information. The whole
We
world
are.
is data. We're always taking
Right.
it in and thinking about it. But what really matters is what you do with it and how you make it your own.
How do you find AI? How do you find ChatGPT if you're on your computer?
You just Google it.
Yeah,
It's
you Google
OpenAI
it.
owns it, so you can just go
So you
OpenAI,
could just
ChatGPT.
say ChatGPT in your Google search.
You do have to make an
and
account.
there are tons of AI-assisted tools. New ones are coming out every day. My wife actually found one that was very funny the other day. I think it was called Goblin.ai, and it was for to-do lists. So if you were feeling like you couldn't get out of bed that day and couldn't get yourself off the couch, you could put what you need to do into Goblin AI, and it will break it down into kind of constituent parts and kind of easier, simpler tasks.
Do you know what I love about this conversation? And it's the same thing that I feel with my adult children. There is a disconnect here where you all are, it's exciting and it's intriguing. But my generation is like, whoa, what's happening? I'm a little bit afraid of this. We think if something goes away on our phone, we've lost it forever. And our kids are like, chill, we can get it back, So I love that. I love that this is an area where I think maybe you will help us understand and help us figure out how to use this. But I love it that you have done the workshop with the faculty, and I'm sure that you answered a lot of interesting questions for them, and that you are making a plan going forward to how to incorporate it.
And I'll just say, I have an 11-year-old daughter,
Yeah.
and she deals with it differently even than
Than
our
you,
generation.
yeah.
And she's
Yeah.
actually, what's been surprising to me is that her friends and her are not using it to cheat, which I think is the big fear for a lot of people.
Right.
It's kind of like the way she listens to music. She sees, the algorithm as something that she can manipulate. She's like, oh, I'll have it skip certain songs so that it'll only play the songs I like. And when she talks about the art programs and stuff, she's like, oh, I can manipulate this and help, come up with cool things that I want to do. So it's more of a tool for her rather than something that just creates products for her.
I love it. I love it. Such an interesting conversation. James and Candis, thank y'all both so much for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Very enlightening. When we come back, an annual event filled with spooky fun. More about the Morris Museum of Art's Boo Bash after the break.